Good morning and welcome to our Friday webinar. Hopefully you will have an opportunity to enjoy some of today's beautiful weather. We're pleased to bring you a really exciting topic today, Win Over Milwaukee Media, PR Tips and Tricks, in which our PR team, our amazing PR team, will be spilling all of their secrets in the name of helping your business. But as our custom has become, I want to share some weekly industry updates with you first. First, I want to make sure that everyone is aware that the City of Milwaukee Health Department will continue to enforce the Moving Milwaukee Forward Safely order as written. If restaurants in Milwaukee have an approved plan through the city's health department, they can continue to operate with no capacity limits. Now, what that means is that in the case of most of our restaurants, because the stringent things that were put in place by the health department, restaurants aren't operating at 100% anyway, because you have to space your tables 6 feet apart, and the restaurants and bars truly are, for the most part, following these because public safety is always top of mind. But to protect residents from COVID-19, the City of Milwaukee and the Milwaukee Health Department created Moving Milwaukee Forward Safely order, which provided a phased approach at combating the pandemic. So this local order required our restaurants and bars to submit a strenuous 54-point COVID checklist to the health department in order to operate. The checklist requires businesses to implement hygiene, cleaning, protective measures, policies, procedures, and like I said, social distancing. So we are thankful to our health department for all they have done to help us allow our businesses to reopen safely. Now I want to give you a look at our most recent STAR report. Downtown and the county are continuing with their slight decline week over week, and weekend occupancies didn't reach 50% in either the downtown market or the county, and midweek is still hovering in the mid to low 20s. I am excited to announce that the Wisconsin Center District Governance Committee has approved a resolution to finance the $420 million Convention Center expansion project. This is the final approval needed in order to begin the planning phase of the project. As an anticipated groundbreaking date will be in 2021, and the new building is expected to open in early 2024. Marty Brooks, his team, and the board have worked tirelessly on this project, and we are so grateful for his persistence and leadership. This project will support at least 2,000 full-time equivalent jobs and $100 million in an off-site construction wages during construction. Additionally, the plan includes an already approved 31% minority-owned business clause, and 40% of on-site construction jobs will be dedicated to the Residence Preference Program for city and county resident-held positions. Once completed, the new convention center is projected to attract an additional 100,000 out-of-state visitors annually and stimulate at least $6.5 billion in total spending in the state over a 30-year period, and generate at least $150 million in incremental state tax income. In addition, the Wisconsin Center just received word that they have been awarded the coveted GBAC certification. This is great news for our sales team and our meeting planners, as they are very interested in what cities are doing to keep their attendees safe. So great job to the Wisconsin Center District. At the Center for Exhibition Industry Research's annual Exhibition Industry Outlook Conference last week, they released data on what event professionals are looking for and experiencing in today's COVID climate. They identified challenges back in April and then resurveyed in September. The data shows virtual business events are making progress in key areas. When asked to identify the challenges of online business events, a lack of personal connections and interactions was at the top of the list, cited by more than half of the event attendees polled in April, but down to 45% in September. Zoom fatigue must have set in during the 5 months between the two polls, because 39% said in September that it was difficult to maintain attention for long periods of time versus 35% in April. At the same time, a lower percentage in September said it was a challenge to recreate the experience of an in-person event. 39% versus 44% in April, and to build community, 31% versus 35% in April. And, I'm sure all of you have experienced this in some way, shape, or form in calls that you're on. The second question posed, which of the following would you be interested in for future online business events you might attend? Topping the list for both polls, interactive Ask Me Anything sessions with subject matter experts, which has grown in popularity from 41% in April to 47% in September. Attendees are also increasingly seeking online content guides or ambassadors who are real people in their digital event experiences. 31% of attendees were looking for MCs in April. By September, it had risen to 40%. This is useful information for those of us who are continuing to provide virtual experiences for our clients and our partners. Now I want to extend congratulations to St. Kate the Arts Hotel and the Pfister on both being named in Condé Nast Traveler's Top 20 Hotels in the Midwest, the Reader's Choice Awards. St. Kate was awarded the number 6 spot and the Pfister came in at number 8. What an incredible honor for two of our city's beautiful hotels. Having hotels on this list helps Milwaukee as a destination, and to have two rarely happens. I would be remiss if I didn't call out Tim Smith, managing director of both, and he's also my husband. Also, St. Kate's new GM, Brandon Drusch. Congratulations to both of you. Another congratulations goes to the 2020 UPAF campaign co-chairs, Tammy Scully Garrison from Molson Coors, Rolando Rodriguez of Marcus Theaters, and Justin Martara of Martara Group on a successful 2020 campaign. They raised $11.7 million, much better than anticipated in a year with a pandemic. This was a great way to end a highly successful run for their CEO, Deanna Tillish, and we wish her well in her retirement. We'd also like to congratulate Patrick Rath on being named the new president and CEO of UPAF. We look forward to working with you, Patrick. In a normal year, the New York Times publishes what is one of the leisure travel industry's most coveted listicles, 52 places to go. This year, because of all of the uncertainty in the world, they're changing their list to 52 places we love and are asking for reader submissions of the destination that inspires them. If you have 5 minutes, please take time to write your love letter about Milwaukee. You can follow the link on the screen or visit any of our social channels for a direct link to the submissions form. It's the final weekend of this year's Virtual Doors Open event, and I have to tell you, I was at a local historical place where I play cribbage, the Haller House, last week, and I was talking to some of the people there, and they really, really, really miss the in-person of this event. It truly has been an amazing event, but right now, obviously, we have to do it virtually. So if you haven't explored all of the incredible historic buildings on the list, this is your weekend to do it. There are still virtual events happening today and Sunday, or you can take advantage of this beautiful weather with a self-guided public art bike tour with discounted bubbler bike rentals. There's more information and registration that can be found on the Historic Milwaukee's website. It's never too early to start planning for Christmas, and this Monday, October 12th, you can purchase tickets to the Milwaukee Rep's special 45th anniversary production of Jacob Marley's Christmas Carol. The Rep is hosting a special one-day price using the word Dickens. You can purchase tickets on the Rep's website or by calling the ticket office. So get your tickets right away so you don't miss everyone's favorite holiday tradition. Next week, the Greater Milwaukee Foundation hosts On the Table MKE, focused on the theme of healing justice, a practice that centers the collective safety and well-being of communities. This year's experience is a 3-day virtual event featuring keynote speakers and a thread of curated conversations for you to join. You can register at onthetable.mke.org. Lowlands announced the return of its annual Quacktoberfest celebration now through November 15th. Quacktoberfest, a Belgian take on the German Oktoberfest, celebrates one of the most unique beers, Quack, brewed by one of the most renowned Belgian brewers, Bastille's Brewery. In addition to exclusive beer offerings, the event on Cafe Benelux's rooftop extends Milwaukee's outdoor dining season into fall with a rooftop bar, heated tents, socially distanced rooftop dining, live music, fall food specials, and exciting giveaways. Milwaukee Magazine has rounded up 16 of their favorite burgers in Milwaukee and are now asking you to vote for your favorite burgers in the bracket. I would highly encourage you to go and try one of these burgers and then go on and vote. Voting for round one is now open, so go make your burger opinions heard and go celebrate and support our local burger restaurants. No Studios is extending the discussion of social and economic inequity that they began in 2019 with the lived experience of disenfranchisement, with this year's Social Justice Summit 2020 taking place virtually, free, and open to the public October 16th through the 18th. This summit will continue to honor the lived experience of marginalized communities while connecting to the current movement's youth energy, multicultural participation, and contemporary technology through virtual panel discussions about topics such as policing and community, voter suppression, and art activism. You can register for any of these sessions on No Studio's website. The largest snow and ice fishing show is coming to the Wisconsin Center October 16th through the 18th. Come check out this brand new in-person consumer show and see the large inventory of 2021 snowmobile and ice fishing gear, equipment, and accessories in the same building. Tickets are only $5 and free for children 12 and under and can be purchased on the Wisconsin Center's website. This show will be very safe, socially distanced, and limit to 250 people at any given time. Summerfest announced a new capital project for the Northwestern Mutual Children's Theater and Play Zone at Henry Mayer Festival Park, which is scheduled to be completed in June of 2021. Upon its completion, the rebranded Northwestern Mutual Community Park will be one of the most accessible playgrounds in all of Wisconsin, with all new accessible playground equipment suited for children ages 6 months to 12 years, new permanent family restrooms, a flexible stage for community-based family-focused programming, and an exhibit area which will be used for interactive children's activities. Kudos to Summerfest and Northwestern Mutual for this really exciting theater and play zone. The Dan team has been working hard to get you back to indoor dining safely, and for the first time since March, their indoor dining room is officially open. They have socially distanced tables, a new air filtration system, and partitions between tables to keep all customers and their staff safe. Indoor dining will be on a first come, first serve basis or by reservation, and their beautiful patio will still be first come, first serve, weather permitting, of course, and they will continue to offer curbside takeout and delivery. It's officially soup season, maybe not today because it's going to be 80, but if you are looking for a bowl of something to warm you up for lunch, the Soup House has you covered. The local on Michigan Street reopened last week for all your soup carryout needs every Tuesday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Call ahead to place your order and you'll be cozying up with delicious soup in no time. Daddy's Soul Food and Grill on 27th Street has more than doubled its space, adding 80 more seats to its formerly 60-seat restaurant. I know some of our team dined there yesterday and thoroughly enjoyed their lunch. The restaurant is still offering curbside pickup, delivery, and their dining room is open with distance tables, so head over to check out the beautiful new space and support this amazing and delicious restaurant. Lazy Susan, which is still offering pre-order weekly menus for pickup via their carryout window, recently got a beautiful interior refresh when they are able to reopen their dining area. The interior design project was very generously donated by local designer Jenny Yolo of I Spy DIY, who wanted to use her talents and skills to help her favorite brunch spot and woman-owned business during the pandemic. These pictures are beautiful, and I cannot wait to be able to dine in this space again. The 11th-story Huron building, downtown Milwaukee's latest multi-tenant office, officially opened on Monday. This building will house anchor tenant Hush Blackwell, as well as Tupelo Honey Southern Kitchen and Bar, which will open its first Wisconsin location, and it's scheduled to open in June of 2021. I was actually there and I got to taste a sample of some of their menu items, and they were absolutely fabulous. We're excited to see this new addition to our skyline and welcome these two new businesses to our city. The Milwaukee Public Market, Yelp Milwaukee, and Support Local MKE have come together to build a week-long initiative to spotlight local businesses in the historic Third Ward neighborhood while celebrating the public market's 15-year anniversary. The third Ward Fall Crawl will take place October 19th through the 24th and will have fall festivities ranging from virtual events to responsible in-person experiences, as well as seasonal deals and specials. More information on all of these deals and events can be found on Support Local MKE's website. Milwaukee and NAIOP Wisconsin, NAIOP, are excited to bring you Urban Spaceship, a day-long virtual urbanism conference on November 9th that explores the intersection of people and place. The conference will focus on holistic solutions, national trends, best practices, and success stories that lead to action and spark ideas in the world of urbanism. Registration is available on Milwaukee's website, and if you register before October 23rd, you can receive half off your ticket price. The Milwaukee Department of Public Works is recommending a dockless scooter pilot program return in 2021 to help city officials understand transportation needs for residents and visitors. If the recommendation is accepted and approved by city officials, it would go into the effect of spring of 2021 and run through the end of 2021. Milwaukee previously had a pilot program in 2019 to study the effects of dockless scooter deployment, and they say a continuation of the pilot will help them gather more data. We will update you when the city officials make their final decision. On next week's Friday webinar, we'll host a panel to discuss diversity and inclusion, moderated by our very own VP of Human Resources and recent winner of HR Leader of the Year, Charlotte Hazlett. So keep an eye on your emails for the registration link for that webinar for next week. Our partner cafe will be Wednesday, October 21st, with Jules Caribbean Restaurant and Bar talking about their amazing menu and what they are doing. As a reminder, this is a quick 15-minute chat over the lunch hour. Now, I would like to turn the mic over to Claire Koenig, our Senior Media Relations Manager, to get us started with some PR tips and tricks. Claire graduated from the University of Missouri-Columbia with her bachelor's degree in magazine journalism. She got her certificate of publishing from New York University, and she started her career in publishing with Theme Publishers and then Simon & Schuster before going to Milwaukee Magazine as a senior editor. We were lucky she joined our team as a communications manager in 2017, and then she was recently promoted to Senior Media Relations Manager. She represents Visit on TV, loves our city, and has an unbridled enthusiasm for promoting Milwaukee and helping our partners. We are so lucky to have her and so lucky for her to lead this conversation. So Claire, I am going to turn my mic off and stop talking and turn it over to you.
Thanks, Peggy. So yep, I'm Claire Koenig, Senior Media Relations Manager at Visit Milwaukee. Before I introduce my colleagues, I just wanted to say that we have a lot of information for you today, and we hope it is really helpful. But again, it is a lot of information, and we don't want you to be intimidated by that when you hear it now. And so to help with that, once this is over and we send out the link to the recording, we will also send a link to a guide with all of the information that we're talking about today. It has a press release template, it has a starter media list, and again, everything you're gonna learn today is in this handy guide, and we encourage you to use it. We put it together with our friends at the local chapter of Public Relations Society of America, and we are trying to make it available to anyone who needs a PR help or assistance, especially right now. So with that, I would like to introduce my colleague, Lindsay.
Hello, thank you for having us today. My name is Lindsay McKee. I'm a communications manager and also recently took over management of our group tour efforts as well. I was born and raised in Milwaukee, so I love it, and I've stayed here. And also graduated from Marquette University with a degree in journalism, but my career took more of a corporate communications route. So very excited to talk to you today.
Hi there, I'm Emily Tom, the Communications and Metrics Manager at Visit Milwaukee. I'm so excited to be talking with you guys today. I am not a Milwaukee original, but I came up here to go to Marquette University for my degree in public relations, and then kind of took more of a hospitality route. So I'm coming through the back end of the hospitality industry in Milwaukee, but I've been at Visit Milwaukee for about 3.5 years now and have loved every second of it. And while Lindsay and Claire are definitely killing it on pitching to media, I take the metric side of things. So I'm working on reporting and on the back end. So if you guys have any questions after this webinar, feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy. I know that this is kind of a, the reporting side of PR is not something that's talked about as often. So I'm happy to be a resource to anybody who needs any help. And I'm actually going to kick this off today. So Amanda, if you want to go to the next slide, we're going to start talking about monitoring and benchmarking to begin. So all of your PR work is really bookended with monitoring. You're going to want to monitor the media and what the public are saying about you and your organization, what they're saying already before you send a story out there. It'll help you determine what the public is showing interest in already, what stories are already being picked up, and what's creating buzz for your organization and business, which then can help you craft your stories that you want to actively tell. And then after you pitch your story, you'll want to monitor that media so you can report on what was actually said, which publications picked it up, how many eyes were on your story, and if you're hitting your target markets. So if you've never done media monitoring before, the easiest way to do so is to create a Google alert, and that is 100% free. You can set up alerts to find stories for any keywords you choose, and then the results are emailed directly to you. So to start, some good keywords to monitor is your business name, see what people are saying, your name or whoever is speaking on behalf of your organization, whether that's your head chef, a concierge, anybody who's out there talking to the media. You might want to add Milwaukee to either of those if you don't have a super unique name, or if there may be another business with the same name in Philadelphia, for example. And then set up a keyword for your industry. You can see what buzz is happening just around the industry in general, and that can help you craft some story ideas for what you guys want to be pitching. And then another good one is your competition's business name. Any other businesses that are out there that are a direct competitor to you, so you can see how you have a share of voice in the media space, maybe see what they're already pitching, see how you can be competitive in that space. And then it's also a good idea to monitor social media if this isn't something you're already doing, to see what the public is saying about your organization. So there are a lot of social monitoring dashboards out there. I know it can be daunting. They're at varying prices. They offer a bunch of different services. But the two that I want to recommend on here are Hootsuite, which has a very affordable plan and can monitor across all different social media platforms, or TweetDeck, which only monitors Twitter, but that's completely free. And you can set up different streams to monitor anything that's directly mentioning you or your handle, your hashtag if you have a hashtag for your organization, or any other keywords that you want to interact with. I know for Visit Milwaukee, we've got a stream set up just for anybody who says Milwaukee. And that way, if somebody's talking about it, we can jump into that conversation. And this is a great way to see what's happening, what's being said about your organization and industry, and really stay on top of any of those stories. Next slide. So once you've determined what stories are already buzzworthy, you can start crafting your pitch. The way to a reporter's heart and really to their ears is to provide details that will make a compelling story. So on the screen are types of stories that reporters will find newsworthy. And your pitch will likely have elements of more than one of these, but here are a couple examples of each of them. So conflict. My business is fighting back against the city because it wants to tear down my building. That's newsworthy. That's something the reporters will pick up. Local. If you're pitching to a Milwaukee journalist, they already know you're local, so you don't need to point that out. But say you're pitching outside the city to a publication like Midwest Living, you definitely want to emphasize that you're located in the Midwest. Might even want to say that you're in Milwaukee so they can craft that bigger story. Trends. Charcoal ice cream is all over TikTok, and my restaurant serves this amazing variation of it. People will be interested in that. Extremes. My tour company won gold at Best Tour Companies of America awards. Let me tell you why the judges found us better than the other tour companies in the country. Those first place award-winning stories are always newsworthy. Something new. I have a new product and it's like nothing else in the local or national market. Clicks. Kind of similar to trends, but those news publications want clicks to their website. So this would be a pitch about a topic that's hot in the news at that particular moment. So my company's CEO is an expert on infectious diseases. That's obviously very timely and relevant, which brings us to our next one. Very related to clicks and trends, but just a good reminder that if people are talking about it right now, it's going to be newsworthy for you. News you can use. So my company offers a solution to blank, or my restaurant wants to help you host the safest and easiest Thanksgiving meal this year. Something that is actual, tangible topics that people can take home with them is always a good news story. David versus Goliath. So it's kind of related to conflict, but the media enjoys stories of the underdog overcoming adversity. Novel, something surprising, something unexpected. Not the whole dog bit the mailman story, but did the mailman bite the dog? That's going to be picked up, definitely. Emotion, and this is an actual Milwaukee headline, is top Milwaukee chefs come together to raise money to fight Kennedy's disease. When you have that public interest and that emotional appeal in your story, it's definitely going to get more pickup. Milestones, my food hall celebrated its 2 millionth visitor this week, or any anniversaries, definitely newsworthy. Inspirational, my tour guide employee survived coronavirus and is now helping to ensure that our company rolls out rigorous safety measures. Follow-up is also kind of related to that trends and clicks. This would encourage an additional story about your business that's tied to an event or news that's happening in a moment that has already passed. So see what changes I made to my business that were for the DNC, but are now bringing me new customers every day. And then a profile. Those human interest profiles are always awesome. My hotel's head concierge is the most interesting man in Milwaukee, and here's why. People love to have that human side of things. Next slide. So you've determined your compelling story, you're ready to take it to the media, but before you get started writing a press release, you're going to want to answer all of these questions on the screen. What is the subject of the news release? What do you want to achieve with the news release? Whom is this message designed to reach? What's in it for your intended audience? What messages or key ideas should this news release convey? And what are some of the news values that will reflect in the release? The release should present information objectively and in correct newspaper and broadcast style, but it must also carefully be crafted to include all of your key messages. So you want to use a press release when you have important news about your business to announce, and think of it as more of a repository for all the important facts about your news. You can send out press releases on your own or send them with a personalized pitch. If you'd like to give news outlets time to write a story but before your news goes public, say before you're going to announce it on your social media channels, be sure to write embargoed, bold, in red, underlined, italicized at the top until whatever date and time you want them to release your news. And my philosophy is to be prudent with your press releases. Save them for the big news, a new event, a new restaurant concept, a business closing, a new owner or CEO, a major award, those big news stories, so that they're treated as such by the media. If you start sending press releases too often, they lose their weight and they'll get lost in reporters' inboxes. So instead, get in the habit of regularly pitching. This can be as simple as emailing a media member and saying, hey, my business is doing XYZ, and I thought you might be interested in it because blank. So give me a call, I can give you additional details, interview opportunities, and images. I've sent plenty of pitches about your businesses where I simply forward something you said and said, hey, I know you're looking for this type of story to cover, and this one looks perfect. Let me know if you need any more information. Or, hey, I know you personally love beer. Check out this awesome virtual beer event. And when you send those, you're creating those relationships with those reporters, and you're not just bombarding them with press releases. So save the press releases for the big stories and create those relationships with your pitches. And I will turn it over to Claire to talk about how to build that media list.
Okay. So now you have an idea of what you want to say to media. You know what they're already saying about you because you've created a bunch of Google alerts to monitor stories about you. And now you're ready to take whatever your story idea is to the world. So where you start is by assessing the media market. You're trying to figure out who is writing about your business specifically, or who is writing about businesses like yours. Maybe you're just launching a company. There's never been a news story about you. Okay, well, who's writing about your competitor? Those are the journalists that you want to be talking to. So spend an hour just Googling those types of things, your local industry, the writers whose names keep popping up over and over, covering businesses like yours. If I'm a restaurant, I want to find out who are the food critics and also who is just reporting restaurant news. Sometimes it's business reporters, so I might add them to my list. If I'm a services company, same thing. I'm probably looking for general assignment reporters or business reporters. If you don't have any personal relationships with media, that's okay. You're finding those names and then you're searching for their contact info. These days, media tends to make it really easy to find their contact info, and that's because they want to hear from you. They want to have the information, they want to have the tips, they want to have the news. They are all competing for the same clicks, and so they want to make it really easy to contact them. Find the masthead pages, find the contact sections. Usually all of the local TV stations, for instance, have tip lines. Write all those phone numbers down, pull this all together in a spreadsheet, and make note of what a specific journalist actually covers, or if they've covered you before. Tony at TMJ4 has written about me before, so I'm going to write down what he wrote, and I'm going to write down what else he covers. That's just helpful info for you to have for the future. You're going to put this all together in a really searchable list, and then the really important thing is to update. This is a sometimes time-consuming thing, but I promise it is worth it. Media do tend to move around, especially in the Milwaukee TV market. You might have reporters and anchors and producers that you've worked with, 1 month, and 6 months later, they've all gone on to either different cities or different stations. So it is important to update this. At Visit Milwaukee, we are updating our list all the time. But I would say if you can update yours once or twice a year, you will be in a pretty good place. Now, the Milwaukee Press Club, which is an amazing resource for the media, they offer these events in normal times, which we will of course get back to, called Meet the Media. So what this is they will have local reporters and editors, writers, producers. They will bartend at the newsroom pub, and they just invite the public to come and have a drink with them. A lot of their colleagues are there. This is a great networking event for you to go to and just do introductions, basically. Bring your business cards, but I wouldn't go in making a hard sell. You're there to just build relationships, and that is the crux of our business. And this is a wonderful opportunity that I definitely encourage you to take advantage of. I've been to a million of these, and they are great and a lot of fun. And then, hey, now you can say you've got a personal relationship with a reporter. Last but not least, find their Twitter handles. Our local media community is super active on Twitter. They all talk to each other, especially the ones who are writing about your businesses. It cannot hurt to keep up with them on social media. You're getting a sense of what they're covering on a daily basis, and you're also keeping up with the news of the day. And that, of course, is always great. Last but not least, like I said, in the guide we'll be sending out after this, there is a starter media list, and it has all of the general email inboxes for pretty much all of our local publications. If we're missing any, let me know, because we will add those. But again, that is a really good starting place for your media list that you would definitely want to build from as you begin to gain some personal relationships. Next slide. All right, so you have an idea of what people are saying about you. You have a press release, or you've written a pitch that is reading beautifully. You know where you're going to send that, and now a reporter wants to talk with you. Okay, this can be a little intimidating if you've never done it before, but I hope these tips will take away that fear for you. And I must say, we got a lot of these tips from our friends at the City of Milwaukee, whose PR team, day in and day out, all day long, is dealing with tough questions from the media. So they put together some of these tips, and I reference them in my own media interactions all the time because they are that good. All right, so let's start with before the interview. You want to think about the interaction and prepare as best you can ahead of time. What are the 3 most important points you want to make? What quote or what little soundbite, even if it's just a phrase, do you want that reporter to use in their story? What issues do you want to be prepared to address? How do your comments fit into your overall brand and your mission of your brand? Have you notified the appropriate people within your company about this interview? Does your CEO know you're doing it? Does the owner, does the chef need to be on this as well? All of these things you want to think about beforehand. Now, during the interview, you want to be engaging and respectful. And remember, your demeanor is important. A reporter is looking at all of you, not just what you're saying, and especially more if you're on camera. So you always want to ask questions to gauge the reporter's level of knowledge and perspective, and then ask who else they've spoken to. You might be able to connect them with someone who would help make their story even better, but then you also get a sense of the scope of the story, which they might not tell you about beforehand. And then again, always ask how and when the interview is going to be used. Hey, when is this going to air? When do you think this will be in print? They don't always know the answer, but you can keep it in touch with them to find that out. During the interview, you want to focus your attention on the reporter and totally minimize distractions. As appropriate, you want to smile, nod, gesture, but be aware of any unintended nonverbal signals you may be sending. When I went through media training, I did not realize, for example, that when I'm talking about good news, I'm going like this with my head, and I don't know why, and I couldn't control it, but I did not realize that until I recorded myself and saw myself doing that. Highly recommend doing that as well. And then lastly, listen very carefully to their questions. You want to be really precise with your answer. And if it's a really tough question, you don't really want to answer more than what you're being asked. Now, when you're thinking about your response, prioritize your messages. Sometimes TV interviews are, a minute long. They can be super short. So you want to make sure what you want to say is caught within that minute. Avoid speculation entirely. Only say things you are confident are 100% accurate. And then here are a couple phrases that you might want to use to sort of flag your important comments. This is particularly important, reporter. If there's one thing you take away from this, now don't ever forget. And then if they ask you something that maybe you don't totally want to answer, you can redirect. You know what, that's a really good question, but the most important thing is, or now let's remember, or before we continue, let me just emphasize that, or I think it would be more correct to say. And lastly, the key here is you always want to be prepared with a couple of those little phrases, just in case you need to turn something back to something you're a little more comfortable speaking about. Lastly, it is entirely appropriate, and we do this all the time, to say, I don't know, I'll get back to you, and then I will get back to you. And then for something where it's like a podcast or not live TV, sometimes reporters will pre-tape something before it airs, and then they're sometimes just taking the best answers out of the questions they gave you. You want to be sure you're repeating your most important points. For TV interviews specifically, you also need to repeat the information back to them as the question. What color is the sky today, Claire? Well, Tony, the color of the sky today is blue. In almost all cases, what you say to a reporter can be attributed and used without limitation. So you need to be very cautious and totally prudent about when you say, I want to do this on background or off the record. You should really only ever use off the record conversations in extreme cases. I would say very rarely. And the key with saying that something is off the record is that you have to say it before the conversation begins. When I was a reporter, I can't tell you how many times I had done interviews where someone would be chattering on and giving me all sorts of really great gossip, and then saying, oh, but that part was off the record. It doesn't work like that. That was entirely on the record, unless before the meeting began, I said, you know what, I'm only talking to you on background or off the record about these 3 things. All right. And lastly, share that contact information. Again, doing an interview is building a relationship with someone. Make sure they have your contact info, make sure you have theirs, so that you can follow up. Hey, when's that story coming out? Hey, do you need anything else for me for this? Any images, any other sources? And then of course you can send them things in the future. Hey, I heard this great thing. Hey, I've got this news coming out. And hopefully this interview is the beginning of a very fruitful relationship. And now I'm passing it off to Lindsay.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about internal communications. Internal communication is often the most overlooked part of communications, but in many ways, for many businesses, it can be the most crucial. So if your internal staff is not informed and comfortable with your company's strategy or direction, then there is very little hope for your external efforts to thrive. So start by planning and strategizing by asking yourself a few key questions. What do you want internal communications to do for your team and your organization? How will you get to that goal you have? Where does it stand right now? What's working and what needs improvement? How soon would you like to reach your goals? Next, ensure consistency between your external and internal messaging. That is so crucial. Aim to continuously provide all employees at all levels with a core story that frames the organization's strategy in terms of its overarching mission and values. Maintaining optimal and consistent internal communications relies just as much on the expectations of employees as on the potential effects of the organization. By communicating frequently, consistently, and fairly, you can work to build both trust and buy-in from employees as well as internal stakeholders. Next, be sure to measure your organization's own performance against employees. Make an employee satisfaction survey a regular thing so you can keep your finger on the pulse of your employees, ensuring that they are always aware of the company's goals and progress in reaching those goals. And related to those kind of metrics and measurements is also providing channels for feedback. Seek feedback to ensure continual improvement, and so employees feel heard. Encourage new ideas. You can never have too many, as long as you can successfully winnow down the list to those good ideas. And don't forget that as a company owner, you should be providing feedback constantly. Transparency, so important. Transparency is more than just a business policy. It is an organizational mindset. Transparency is a crucial internal communications practice, promoting trust, accountability, and open dialogue within any organization. When employees feel left in the dark on certain matters, this may discourage them from asking clarifying questions and sharing their thoughts and concerns on the matter. Obviously, not all information can be made available to everyone at all times. However, maintaining some transparency on what is directly influencing an employee's work efforts can have tremendous effect on the harmony and rapport within your organization. Also, avoid communications overload. Balance communicating what is necessary with what your employees can handle all at once. Aim to always send the right information to the right people at the right time. Then share, discuss, and repeat. By keeping employees engaged in the bigger picture, it effectively reminds them that their efforts are part of something larger than their purview, and that is an excellent motivator. Internal communications is also a place to not only inform, but recognize. Consistent acknowledgement and rewards for employees performing well makes all staff members feel that their contributions are valued and appreciated. It can also help to maximize productivity and growth as well. Employees, employee resources and training are a must, but use a combination of emails, chats, internal blogs and postings, and also in-person team meetings to spread the word. Regularly promoting resources ultimately encourages employees to invest in their own personal and professional development through the organization itself. And we can go to the next slide. Crisis communications. So I think 2020 will forever be the perfect case study for crisis communications. From a pandemic and murder hornets to police shootings and wildfires, crises happen, and this year crises have happened more often than not. But proper preparation will help your organization manage those crises. So there are a few things to remember here. In the event of a crisis, media speculation starts immediately. Never pass along information that has not been verified. And honestly, you should always be referring media to your designated company spokesperson for them to respond. Any statement is considered on the record and could appear in print. If a reporter contacts you, be sure to get the reporter's name, media outlet, phone number, and specifically what questions were asked, so that when you forward that to the designated spokesperson, they can follow up and have that knowledge, that background knowledge, to be able to work with that reporter. And that's where that contact tree can come in handy as well. Direct those media inquiries to the correct people in those situations. When you let a reporter know that you will check on an answer for them, do so in a timely manner. You have to understand that media are generally on deadline, and their job is to collect the facts and report it to the public as quickly as possible. In lieu of answering interview questions, it is always acceptable to provide a reporter with an official statement. So you should never, ever say no comment. That is completely inappropriate response. But a simple, I don't know at this time, or I will have someone get back to you immediately is acceptable. Also, in relation to this, consider pausing all advertising as well in a crisis, especially when your advertising directly contradicts or does not quite match the seriousness of the situation at hand. Next slide. Many people dread social media during a crisis, but it can actually be an incredibly valuable communications tool. Just keep these best practices in mind. A quick response is key, ensuring that websites and platforms have new and consistent messages to match the situation. In a crisis, emotions are running high, so you have to be the voice of reason, keeping your cool, remaining polite and respectful in your posts and responses. I did mention how a quick response is necessary, but I'm going to amend that just slightly. Make sure that you do take time to ensure the accuracy of your information. You would rather a late response than a wrong one. And sometimes a quick information coming soon can be all you need to put out there until you have the facts. Also, be sure to share with your audience what your organization is doing to address the issue, demonstrating that you are taking responsibility and initiative. And feel free in those social media interactions to provide offline contact info. That'll encourage a private conversation instead of a public debate. Do not censor or delete criticism on your channels because it demonstrates a lack of transparency and a lack of willingness to hear your audience. Just be sure to approach your posts with curiosity, seeking to listen and understand. Next slide. So we've talked a lot today about different things that you can do in working with the media and the public and even your internal organization. But I want to be sure that you're aware, as a Visit Milwaukee partner, you have a very important tool in your pocket. You have our entire PR team here to help you. First and foremost, our team is designed to tell the world about the best of Milwaukee. We're also set up to provide your assistance and amplify your voice as you share your own news with our community and beyond. On any given week, our team is sending pitches to national and local media, going on local TV to talk about local partner news and events, whose fall festival is happening, which restaurant or attraction just opened, and more. We're sharing news directly from you on social media. We're working with travel writers to come visit Milwaukee and see what we're all about in person. And we're working sometimes behind the scenes to advocate for the local hospitality industry. In addition to all this, we are helping out our partners, just like you, with their own PR efforts. On the slide, you'll see all of the things we can do to help your business, and they include assisting you with just about everything we've talked about in today's presentation. These services are what you get when you're a partner of ours, and there is no cost to call us and ask for an assist with any of these things. We really look forward to helping in all of these ways, and I hope you'll take us up on it. Next slide. In addition to this webinar, we wanted to share a few resources that I believe will come in handy for you, and we've mentioned them sort of throughout as well. Our public relations teammates are members of the Public Relations Society of America, and many of us actually serve on the Southeastern Wisconsin chapter's board. So be sure to utilize our local chapter's resources for PR assistance, including connections to the PR community and a robust PR toolkit created by Visit Milwaukee's own Claire Koenig, which she's referring to, which we'll send out to you after. The MMAC also has a very good media list that can be a good starting point that will grow as you develop your own media relationships, but that's a really great starting place. The Milwaukee Press Club, which we mentioned before, is another great resource. And again, our team is a member of the Press Club, so that's a great way to enhance your networking. Their events are great ways to network with journalists, as well as gain deeper knowledge of the stories behind the headlines. I highly recommend the Associated Press Style Book. It's the style guide that is used by most journalists, and it's a good way to tailor all of your communications, especially your press releases, to that style. The Wisconsin Black Media Association is actually the local chapter of the National Association of Black Journalists, another great opportunity to connect with media. And the National Association of Hispanic Journalists has amazing resources, including a cultural competence handbook. So we've provided all these resources to you, but again, remember that Visit Milwaukee's PR team is one of your most important resources, and we're here for you. Next slide.
All right. So we have, this is the time now for, if you have any question, shout it out, put it in the chat. Looks like we can start with one. Say I'm a team, a PR person of one, or I'm an owner of a business. How do I prioritize these things? I would recommend asking yourself, who do I want to talk to through the media? Am I trying to gain more customers? Am I trying to talk to other businesses? What is the point of this communication? And then what do I have to say? Those are the things I would figure out first, and all of the tools we're giving you today fall in after that. Okay, we got one more question. Does our spokesperson have to be our CEO or other leader, or can it be someone with more training? That's an awesome question. It does not have to be a CEO. It does not have to be the owner. It can be the person who can remain totally unemotional, who can describe what your business does in 8 seconds or less, and who is generally concise and thoughtful when they're speaking regularly. So if you have a person like that who doesn't happen to run the business, that's okay. Anything else? You might have one more. Can I send my press releases to Visit Milwaukee team for prior review before sending? Of course. Yeah, we can give you feedback very quickly on that. And can you help my team with our elevator pitches? 100% we can help you with your elevator pitches. We would love to. So send them to us. Send us your releases. We are happy to give you feedback on them. We are happy to help you come up with a strategy of where to send it and why and when. Yes, we are ready and waiting to help you with this. Oh, one more question. I don't have time for all of social media. What is the most important channel? That is a great question, and it depends on your business. If you're a restaurant and reviews are really important, it's probably not Twitter. It is probably a platform like Facebook where you can interact with a lot of people and they can also review your business. If you are just trying to get out news, more local media members are on Twitter, so that's a good place to put your news. So again, that depends. If there are no other questions, that's all for us. You can email our questions. I believe we've got our contact info on the next slide. Email us, call us. Again, we are your resource for you. We are here to help your business, and we really hope you take us up on that.
We have a couple more questions that came in.
Oh, amazing.
Okay.
What?
If you don't have a PR team or even a marketing team, who should you get to write your releases?
Well, that's a great question. If you have the budget to hire someone to write your releases, you could hire a professional. We could certainly point you in the direction of people that do that, or the local PRSA chapter is a great resource for that if you have the ability to hire them. If you don't have the funds to hire someone, you can write it yourself. A press release is as easy as a couple paragraphs of facts. And In the guide we'll send out after this, there is a template. I highly recommend you just copy and paste that puppy into a Word document, insert your own facts, your contact info, your logo, your images, your headline, and there you go. You have a press release.
We have one more question. When sending a press release, should you send it as an attachment or in the body of the email?
Amazing question. You should put it in the body of the email. Do not send it as an attachment. A lot of email inboxes automatically kick things from unknown senders to junk. So it should be in the body of the email. If you have images, do not send those as attachments either. Use a website like Dropbox and share them with a Dropbox link. Dropbox has free versions, so you don't even need to pay for that. But put the text of the press release in the body of the email with a Dropbox link. You will be golden.
Next question, any tips on being on TV interviews, what to wear, or where you should do the interview?
Well, it depends on what the story is, but if you're promoting your business, you should encourage them to come to your business and do the interview in front of your business, maybe where there's a sign in the background, or so they can see your lovely restaurant, your lovely hotel lobby. You want to give them a wonderful visual of the city. When we're doing Milwaukee interviews, we are going out to the most beautiful places we can find so that the background tells as much of a story as our mouths, for lack of a better way to say that. For what to wear on TV, I would just avoid patterns. I would use solid colors. Lindsay and I are very TV ready today. And again, also avoid green. That would be a green screen issue, but I would just say solid gem tones are really nice. And a color that you know works really well on you.
Next question, when do you use media alerts over press releases? Would you use media alerts for events?
Yeah, so how we use them is we will, if we have something newsworthy enough for a press release, we will send out a press release, say, we have our new visitor numbers and we're so proud of them and here's what they are. This is going out and we're going to celebrate them at our annual meeting. You guys have probably seen this press release before, in fact. So we send out that press release maybe 2 weeks before the annual meeting, and then we follow it up with a media alert, which is very literally the who, what, when, and where of whatever the event is. We send that out a day or two before the event. It is one last reminder for the assignment editors and the TV producers that, hey, I got to get a camera guy to this.
And we have one last question. If you had an event with visuals and some media couldn't attend, do you recommend following up with visuals for them to use on their channels later? What is the best way to do that? Just respond to the press release you originally sent? Question mark.
That is another really great question. Yes, they love visuals. There are publications in town that are especially prone to publishing event photos. The Business Journal is one of them. Biz Times, another great one for that. If you have a contact with someone, it cannot hurt to send them an email, say, hey, the event was this great. We raised this much money, huge success. Here's what it looked like if you couldn't be there. And if you got someone to record a little B-roll, even better.
Sorry.
And sorry, B-roll is footage that is shot, or footage that would be shown if there isn't a face-to-face person interview happening. So if a TV station might just run, some of my comments, but behind it they're showing people kayaking down the river. That's B-roll.
And we had one last one just come in. If you're having an event that you want the media to attend, a donation, check presentation, something of that nature, do you always ask them to RSVP? And if they don't, do you call the stations before their 9 a.m. meeting to ask if they can attend?
Yeah, yes and yes. it can never hurt to ask, hey, let me know. I'm trying to get a head count. Space is limited. You can use all sorts of things like that to try and get a response. And it can never hurt to say the morning of the event, hey, you know what? I never heard back from you. Just want to make sure you'll be there at blah, 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 blah. And then you will likely have, you know, all 4 TV stations there.
Great, and that seems to be all the questions.
Cool. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks for having us.